Praise and Production.
Gumbolaya Podcast, C.A. Purcell, Part 2 with Dave Stevens.
Yo.
He is the producer of Scales, our next single, releasing October 27th. I'm going to get it
He
probably
never
by
remembers.
the fourth segment. October 27th is Scales coming out, written by Kelley and me, mostly by Kelley, smidge by me, and produced by Dave Stevens. It go like this.
I live only by your grace. Yes, God. Let the scales fall. Let them fall. Oh, God. Let them fall, God. By your power, by your grace, I am changed forever. I am saved. You made me new. Turn my heart toward you. So I say thank you, oh God.
Yeah. Scales.
That sounds incredible.
Written by this guy.
No, written by y'all.
Produced.
Produced by this guy. I'm trying to take away your writer's credit. Written, produced, and sung by Dave Stevens.
Yo, that was mixed incredible. Man,
Thank
that
you, bro.
sounds, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
It's I mean, you know, when you hear your own stuff, it's like, it's like
Yeah.
I love it, and I'm also like, I could have done that better. That went well. I could have done that better.
Well, that's what I was listening for. I was like ready to cringe because I haven't heard it in so long.
Right,
So I was
right,
like,
right.
I know the
We
feeling.
all feel that
But
way.
yeah,
I
I was
don't
like,
like other
No, it
people to mix
sounded
my stuff,
great.
but you know,
that was
sometimes I do all right. I appreciate the compliment. So, yo, first impression. What are moments? What would you hear you listening to it?
So
Moments.
I mean, you went from a musician. I was listening from a musician standpoint. Well, it was a couple things. You know, it all hits you at one time.
Mhm.
So from musicians, I was like, oh man, I remember this cat. I didn't remember he played that. That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
Wow, that line
Yo,
is
let's
great.
shoot
You know.
up the musicians. Like, who's the drummer?
Miles? Is it just my name?
So I know Wardell was on drums.
And Wardell.
Wardell Pierce was on
Yeah,
drums.
yeah, yeah.
Wardell Pierce.
I'm glad you said
Okay.
Miles.
Did,
Miles was
did I
on
say his
bass.
name
Yeah.
right? Wardell?
Yeah, Wardell. Yep.
W-A-R-D-E-L.
Wardell.
Wardell, okay.
Yep. Yep. One of my go-to drummers in Philly.
Okay.
Miles Collier on bass.
Miles Collier. Okay.
And then I think it was just me
And then
on
you.
guitar and me and you both on key. I don't. You probably
Okay.
replaced all my keyboard parts, or if
I
I,
don't
played
know.
any, I don't know. So
Maybe.
I don't know.
Honestly,
I don't
like,
always know what he does.
100% transparency. I really don't remember. So,
Yeah.
I wish I could, because I'd love to kind of give you perspective of why I did what, but that was so long ago.
It was long.
I
Yeah.
remember. But I do remember feeling like the challenge was, because you sent me so much good stuff. So for those of you who work in audio engineering and whatnot, one of the biggest challenges is when you got all these instruments that are doing really well. Your job as an audio engineer, you got to figure out what's necessary first, right? You got to keep the foundation in place. And then you got to think of like what colors are needed in a given moment and what's not needed. You got to think about what instrument needs to be in most of the song and what instruments only need to be highlighted in certain spots when they're, if they're not really doing a whole lot and you can make room for something else. You got to make these decisions.
Right.
The hard part is doing that in a way that the producer or the writer or the singer will not notice or notice positively, because you don't want the opposite. You don't want somebody to be like, "Yo, why you take out the thing that I did in the second verse?"
Right.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
So this is a hard decision. But my mixing mentor was the first person to teach me. So I was self-taught up until 2013, 2014 in terms of audio engineering. I had a lot of people that, poured some knowledge into me, but nobody was in the studio teaching me how to mix. But I was getting, advice and tutelage on how to produce and how to create and yada, yada, yada. But I had a mixing mentor. His name is Steve White. Shout out to Steve White. He's awesome. And he, he's an amazing musician, producer, and audio engineer. And he taught me, basically he would say stuff like, if you're mixing a jam session, then everything plays all the time. Because that's what a jam session is. He's like, but if you're mixing a produced like product, a piece of art that's supposed to move and change, and it's supposed to have direction and growth, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be dynamic. He was like, if you just leave everything all the time, it's boring.
Right. Everything has a place. Yeah.
That had never, outside of like, you put instruments in certain spots as you're producing, but I never thought to do that as an engineer.
Right.
I just thought if it's there, you're supposed to figure it out. And he was like,
No,
he was like, a lot of times you don't even hear something that's happening because, for example, this song is like vocals almost all the way through. There's not a lot of spots where just the music is happening, except for your solo. So there were several moments where I'm like, I want to hear more of Dave's guitars, but all we have is let the scales fall, lead, lead, let the group sing, lead, lead, lead. And there was just no pockets. And I'm like, well, I can't have everything in all the times. I had to make cuts for me. Like I took the organ out in a lot of sections, and I felt good about my organ, bro.
Yeah. No, I get that. It's a hard thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you mix as well, right?
Right. Yeah.
So how'd you learn? What was your introduction into audio engineering? I'm assuming you learned to play first.
So it's funny. So my story is funny. Before I forget what I was going to say, though.
I'm sorry.
The vocals sound incredible.
Oh, thank you.
So I was like, yo, because I don't think I've heard you sing leads like that before. Like in a like gospel kind of vibe.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard
wanted the song to build.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I got the idea, and first I heard drums. Like I heard, and this idea about scales. I knew that I wanted something to come and build into this grand thing. And so when you brought the track back with all, those great players and your guitar and everything, I was like, okay, Kelley, you're gonna have to come with the vocals.
Oh yeah,
okay?
I hear it though. It's like,
because I do a lot of calm, vocals a lot, but when I'm really feeling something and when it has that foundation, that bed that just you rocked. I was like,
my
okay,
inner metal musician.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. So and I have to give it to you because that's one of the things I love about that song too. It goes back and forth with like calm, but then grit, calm, and then grit, and then grit.
Yeah.
And that's what I was hoping for.
I think particularly what he's referring to, you might not remember, but this is probably the first time he's ever heard you sing completely in your chest. Because this was the first time where I absolutely insisted. I'm like, Kelley, no mix on this. Like you need to chest this out because it's a loud, aggressive song. Like Dave really put his foot into this. It's aggressive. And that's what you asked for. So I'm like, that's what you want.
Yeah,
so,
I like that though.
So we got towards the end, and then y'all will hear it when the song is released. Like she was giving it a lot, and Kelley really pushes, but in the chest area of her tone, it was difficult for her to find the right place. So we just took some time, and I made suggestions. I'm like, yo, change the melody that you're doing to where it stays within the area, and then give it like all. Like go ahead and let all of the sound out. If our neighbors get mad, they just get mad because we recorded right there. Right there
in this corner.
Right there. So,
and I had to exercise a lot. I did some jumping jacks.
And she totally did it. We did a pass where she kind of let it out. She refined it, did it again. She likes to refine stuff, which is fine with me because I do too. But I noticed that with her, like she needs to get something down and then feel it for a bit, sit with it, work on it, figure out what she wants to add, what she wants to take out. And I love that. That's me all day. So once I kind of got her to that point as we were getting to know each other as, a singer-songwriter and a producer, once we got to that point, when I realized, I was like, she's really adapted this concept and she does well. Then the first couple of sessions, super easy because she already knows we're just getting the ideas down.
Right.
We're just laying the roadmap out, and then she'll be working on it. I'll hear her every day, all day. She'll be in a meeting. All right, everybody, I got to go ahead and talk to you guys later. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
That is my life. That is my life.
Once you open that can, then it's like, yo, you know.
Totally.
And you really did open up on this. And this is one of my favorite songs to listen to you sing, because I'm like, see, I knew it was in there.
I told you, like the funk rock diva, there's something
Yeah.
deep down that has to come out. You know what I mean?
that
Like I'm
song
on
would
my
go
Zooms
well
and I'm very calm, and you know, but
Yeah.
on stage there's somebody different.
Yeah.
And
I thought
Dave
it would
helps
go
me bring
well.
it out. CA helps me.
I thought it would go well as an acapella. And because I was thinking, you know, very like group chant kind of vibe, with, you know, definitely the marching kind of, you know, underbelly. You know, I was thinking this big group kind of sound, a whole bunch of like vocal racket in the background. Like, that's what I was thinking. And she kept talking about she wants it to be aggressive. And I was like, I think this is another funk rock thing for her.
Yeah,
like she really loves that sound.
Yeah, I do.
And so I was like, well, maybe you need to send it to kind of somebody else, because I can do that, but I hear something else with this. Like, you know, my heart is kind of already connected to that. Yeah. And I don't, you know, let me hear what you're looking for, and then I'll work with whoever works for you. And 2 seconds out of you know what I'm saying? I told you, it's a little weird to have like your wife really love the production of another guy. Like, because I'm a producer, you know what I mean?
Babe,
Who's this guy? Man, who is this guy? Right.
You know what I mean? No, I mean, not, well, the thing is, because we had already talked a lot, but it's like 0.1%. It's just like, but then you send back good stuff. I'm like, but you're good though. Like,
and that's,
you know what I mean?
Listen,
it's okay.
It goes both ways because you know you have some great songwriting partners. You know, shout out to Stacy and Lenise, and they're amazing songwriters. I mean, they'll sit with him and they'll hear his tracks and like come up with stuff right away. I'm not that fast, you know? So I be getting jealous too, or whatever. We make it work.
So it's a good feeling though to kind of understand, to kind of see and understand her growth in that area, because when I met her, she was coming from a limited experience in the studio. And so, you know, a lot of our early sessions were very difficult because we were getting to know each other.
I was very emotional. I was very emotional.
Yeah,
and
I was
sensitive.
learning. I was learning a lot of the harshness in my approach, as well as the stuff that was normal for me that I didn't know wasn't normal. You know what I mean? So for me, doing a section 11 million times is normal. You do it till you get it right. You know what I mean? For her, they were much more performative in the studio. They would run it over and over and over again and get a good take, and they're done. You know what I mean? I nitpick, and I'm like, yo, that word, do that word again. Not that the next part. So you did the word right, but then the next part, like, I would drive her nuts, right? And then also she had to learn that refinement process and what it feels like to go through the headache and get an amazing result. And then you're like, oh, it feels worth it. You know what I mean? When you hike all the way up to the vista, you're like, yo, look at the waterfall over here. You know what I mean? It feels worth it. So, you know, in our process of learning each other, I was hearing her ideas, and then I would hear what you did with them, and I'm like, I get it. I see why. I was like, I see why you like this dude. Like, this is some good stuff. And you would turn it over quick. So like, that's another one for me. I take time, and if somebody gives me a deadline, great. But if I don't have a deadline, I'm like, yo, it ain't done till it's right. And when it's right, we all gonna celebrate.
But I need to get stuff out quick because I'll move on to something else. So it's like if somebody gives me something, they're like, yo, I need this. I'm like, give me the day you need it. And I will get it done.
That does help me.
I will. Man, I'll be on to the next project. I'm like a contractor. How you know? You like, you gonna finish my bathroom? And like, oh yeah, well, we started one down the street. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Do you like that though? Like, do you like the quick turnover, or would you rather kind of take time to craft? What feels better for you? I mean, obviously it's more productive to get more stuff done, but do you feel like you do your best work quickly, or do you need time to chip away?
But when we say quickly, like, for example, yesterday I had to do a guitar part for somebody. I was in there for 8 hours doing just guitar. And then most people would be like, what, you just play the guitar on it? No, I need every note to count. So for that 8 hours, I'm dedicated, I'm in, but I needed to end at the 8 hours. So,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
follow what you mean.
Because I need to, so it quickly, but then not so quickly. Because I'm putting the time in, but you know, but I got to get it
That's more
out.
so what I was asking.
Yeah.
You have a balance that makes sense because I know both. I know producers that are very wedded to the idea of quick turnover as a general professional strategy. Like they don't like I know cats that'll do 2 or 3 tracks a day.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, that's insane. But a couple of them, like they turn out bangers. So it's like, if it's dope and it's quick, then you can charge a lot of money because that's pretty amazing to do. Me, like I can get amazing results if the track is supposed to be a little on a simple side, you know what I mean? But if it needs to be like intricate where, you know, I like to do stuff where I kind of never revisit the same thing completely the same.
Right.
I like it to evolve. I like it to move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And for me, it takes time to kind of feel where I am in one moment and find several options for the next step. And then have time to feel like, well, this one works, this one works, this one doesn't work, this one is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love that.
Yeah.
When I get a deadline from someone, it helps me not take too long on that. That's why I got that written up there. So above my screen, I have a quote that's from Chanel Curry. Thank you, Chanel. And it says, "Done is more profitable than perfect."
Yeah, I like that.
Because you'll tweak forever.
Yeah,
What is the book? I don't know if it's Malcolm Gladwell that talked about fast and slow thinking. And I've had to embrace that with my creativity because as a songwriter, if I let my intuition guide, I can come up with an idea fairly quickly. And I don't want to discount that idea because it means something, like it came from somewhere. But then you take time with your collaborators, right? To slowly refine it over time. So both count for me, but I have to balance both because the slow can turn into overthinking and overanalysis, right?
Well, here's a suggestion, and I've said this to you before. Keep both. That's why I'm always saying to you, record everything. Yeah. Because if you get but you'll be ready to jump on stage with something.
Well,
first draft, you're like,
performer.
Let's perform it. Let's hire a bass player.
More of a performer. Okay. I like live musicians, I like the stage, and I like an audience.
I'm like, you wrote the song yesterday. Let's do it. So the only reason I say that is because like there's I don't know if this has ever happened for you, but there's a unique feeling of being able to look at different versions of an idea. So you get an idea outright, it feels complete, you put it down, even if it's just a voice note. I mean, I say go ahead and set up the mic and I'll hit the button for you. I'll do that for you. But even if it's just a voice note, having an idea of the auspices of an idea, right, helps you go backwards. Because sometimes you might take a tangent and you get a couple of good ideas, but you end up in a place you don't like.
Right.
And being able to go back to something that's ironclad to be like, you know what, this fit better than that other thing.
I do that because I'll make
she said do.
He loves when I do that. I absolutely.
Shout out to
17. Here we go.
We never grow up. Never. Especially not in LA. You're absolutely right. And I love your advice. And I typically will have folders for each song. And I can tell what was the initial idea and I'll date it.
I didn't know
and
that.
Then as
I've never seen your pattern.
Well, here's the thing. Because I try to bring him, I have to bring it to him when I either feel like I'm ready for him to build chords because he loves doing that. Or I feel good about, maybe I've collaborated with someone else and I feel like this song is done. I need you to produce it. And I need to be very clear with him. Otherwise we fight.
What are you
Okay. No, I get that. I totally get that.
So what are you not saying?
No, I get that. Like completely.
Well, and because sometimes I do have a very specific vision like I had for you for Scales.
I'll change some in a heartbeat.
And you know, my other songwriting friend Jamie and I will write. I love the chords she usually does. She's a piano player.
From the first album.
Jamie Butel. Shout out to Jamie. I love the chords that she does, and she and I just have a silly same vibe with each other. And so I have to, he doesn't always like to hear chords already because he likes to come up, which I totally respect. But if the vision of the song I feel really good about in my gut, then I have to tell him that. I'm like, you're not changing this. I need you to produce it, but you're not changing it. Thanks.
No, I
but
get
you know,
that.
I've had to be clear as an artist, but also really appreciate, just like he described, all of the ways he's helped me grow, the different ways he's helped shape, like those early songs, like Second Round.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was so used to just having an idea. Okay, let's sing it.
Yeah.
But he refined it in such a way, and at first my feelings were hurt, but once we were done, I was like, yeah, this is dope.
Yeah.
This is dope. Like the chorus is much better, you know. So I have to prepare myself for his refinement, and also just know what it is I want to hold on to that I feel strongly about. So
yeah, I mean, again, recording an initial idea, it kind of relieves the feeling of I can't get my idea back. I went through a very difficult back and forth with a singer-songwriter that I used to work with because she wrote a song. I told you the story before, but she wrote a song. And me and one of my writing partners heard it, and we really liked it. Well, she was performing this at a venue, and it was just her on acoustic guitar. And it was, you know, it was a really fun song. We really liked it. We were like sitting there bopping. We were like, yo, we could really trick this out. Like we could do something with this.
Yeah.
So we did, right? We go in the studio, we laid the song down, and we played it for her, thinking she was going to be like, oh, wow, it's so awesome, right?
Yeah.
She broke out in tears.
Oh my God.
She was like,
man,
why would you take my song? I was like, well, we didn't take it. We worked on it. Like, we're thinking this could be a way to present the song if you want to record or whatever. And she was like, but you just took my song. Like, why would you do that? And like, I didn't know what she was really talking about. And so my writing partner, who was a close friend of hers, they know each other more. I didn't know there was some history where people had done her wrong, taking her stuff. So she felt like we were trying to steal it. And I'm like, no, we're doing this for and with you. You know what I'm saying? You now come in, you put in the top line, and we work on whatever things you might want to. You know, it's a gift. It's not a theft.
Right.
It's a gift.
Right. We're not taking, we're giving. Right.
But point being, you know, like the artistic process is very personal.
Yeah.
And so having these experiences just kind of teaches you the different ways, I guess, to engage the heart that somebody has in it.
Right.
So if you put it down, you know, no matter what you do, you can come back to the original idea,
Absolutely.
Worst case scenario, and you just do what you want. If you don't like this new direction, you know, command delete. Done. You know what I mean? Or you just leave it. I don't like to delete stuff. But point being, all right, so you received an email from Kel. Yo, D, this is the song. I'm assuming I probably sent you her top line and maybe like basic.
Right?
It was just acapella?
Yeah.
Okay, I did that because that's what I like.
Yeah.
I might have said that also to. Are you sure we didn't send you any chords? Because Kelley was very serious about her chords on this song.
Oh, you know what you did? You did because there's some piano chords in there that I had to like make my fingers be like this, put my nose
Piano
on one of the
players and
strings.
guitar players talking.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
so funny to me.
Because I was like, how am I supposed to play this? And like for me, it's like a challenge. It's like somebody challenging me to a fight because it's like
To a fight?
because it's like, you know, I hear this chord with all these different notes, and I'm like, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this.
I will.
Right. I don't
That's
care if
what's
I have
up.
to
I
like
love that.
lean part of it up against the table. I'm gonna play this.
This 8-note chord on a 6-string guitar.
Competitive.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So
Yeah.
but it was some of those chords I was like, okay, I didn't play this before.
I'm trying to think. Trying to think if I did any like you know,
Some of the passing
non-modal or
chords. Some of the passing chords.
I'd have to listen to it
And
again.
so I wanted to get the voicings, you know, for that. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Not everybody does it. Like yesterday, I got stuck on somebody. He did a run. It was a really long run.
Yeah.
And I got stuck on it. It was so intricate. And I was like, I'm playing this. I was like, I'll play it underneath you.
It will happen.
Yeah.
What was it? A singer? The singer run?
singer.
Okay,
And
dope.
this dude is ridiculous. Shout out to Rashad Howard. He's
Rashad
like an
Howard,
amazing
okay.
singer and piano player. But he did this long run, and I'm just like trying to. So Yeah, I get
what's
stuck
up.
on that because I'm not gonna let it go by.
That feels good. Yeah.
We'll learn it.
Yeah, I mean,
as a professional.
Yeah, I love stuff like that too. Like I told you when I looked over at you that your solo was great. That one moment with that bass line towards the end of the vamp at the end.
Yeah, well, Miles threw that in there.
It was bananas.
Yeah,
it was. I think it was perfectly placed. I loved the choice he made. Like it just felt great.
Yeah,
and
Miles
it was aggressive. And I was like, yes sir, yes sir.
That's one thing I like about his bass playing. He's really aggressive bass player. So,
I love it. And for me, particularly with the bass, like with this particular song, with his performance, I like the fact that he wasn't like in your face the whole song. Usually what I ask of musicians, I ask for like simple and straightforward. Like if a kid needed to play this, give me that. Give me basic, simple, where if a novice wanted to play it, they could follow what you're doing, right? Obviously following the song, but very straightforward. And then give me like way too much, like way too much. Where when
both of them,
right. But then for people that are willing, I also ask for personality. I'm like, the first pass, what I would like, you listen to it, play what you think. Well, maybe not first. The first one is the basic, like, let me hear that you know the song, that you listen to it.
Right.
And then let me hear your personality. Like, what do you think could be there or should be there? What do you think is missing? Accent the stuff that you think is well. Like, let me hear your head and your heart in this, and then overplay. Like, I really need the overplaying because some people, especially session musicians, their mind is, let me get it right.
Let me make it a record.
And that's great. But I'm like, if you need a firework, you know what I mean? You don't want the stadium chair. You want the firework. It's very different. Stadium chair is nice and comfortable. It works. You sit down. It's all good. But when you want kablam, you got to have it. And so to me, he did a perfect balance of both. Like he played throughout the song. It felt great. There's several moments where he just opened up. I loved it.
He's dope. But you touched on this a couple of times, and I'm like brimming over to say it.
Yeah.
The importance of having a producer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of artists think now that they can just produce themselves and that's why a lot of the music is sounding the same.
Yeah.
It's just,
Loop City.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
We actually are trained, I'm trained in this and had to sit through old heads yelling at us and stuff like that growing up and all,
And we had to hear that your stuff sucks.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Why?
Yeah.
Over and over.
We had to work to earn. Yeah.
Yep.
Takes time.
And so once you have that skill, and it's an actual skill, just like songwriting is an actual skill. And so it bothers me now that so many people have gotten away from the art of songwriting, the art of production, all those things. Oops, sorry, I hit the microphone.
It's all good.
All those things.
As he talks about production.
Artists don't understand.
Boom. Right. But yeah, it's like that's why the music industry sounds so stagnant right now. Because it's just so everybody's copying everybody. Everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Singers are like, well, I don't need that. I don't need a producer. I just, I'll get a beat off of YouTube.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like the integrity of the music is just waning because,
I feel you on that. What I've come to understand, though, that kind of makes it easier for me to not stress over is, number one, the accessibility of music production, like software and equipment, is unparalleled now. Like it's so easy to get a usable setup and to be able to do stuff, right? So that's a big deal. The fact that a normal non-professional can afford a working setup. That's a big deal, right? Which is great for the manufacturers of that stuff. But also, similar to what we were talking about regarding TV and film, the people that you are pitching to and submitting stuff to are often looking for something that they think will sell. So if you send them a song that sounds like a current hit in their head, well, this sounds like the song that's number 2 on the chart right now. So this is definitely a way to go. Creators think differently. Business folk think this model works. Use the model, find a way to innovate a little bit, and let's make some money. The point is make the money, right? Creators think that's already been done, bro. Why are we doing? That's what he does. Why do you want to make me sound like,
Right.
And so when people start to kind of, I guess, see how much content comes through the pipeline that sounds very similar to other people, they get the impression that that's the way to do it.
Right.
I got to make something. So my advice usually to young creators is to always be doing a cycle of 3 unless you're getting phone calls in. Like, people are asking you, to do work, great. But if not, then you start with something that just feels good for you. Get something out, right? Something that feels good to you. Then do something that feels relevant. Something that sounds like it will fit in a playlist with the current hits. Right.
That's important.
And then thirdly, think of something that will work tomorrow. Think of something that's forward in your creativity, something that isn't being done yet, but you think this is worthy of consideration for the next step in this genre or whatever. Forward thinking, true to yourself, and something that feels relevant. And if you do those 3, you'll generate so much like diverse content that when you are trying to talk to somebody that asks for something that's a bit off the beaten path, you'll have some stuff that's a little different from what you normally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll be able to play some stuff. It makes a big difference. It's a challenge to make yourself think like that, especially if you don't have someone that you're collaborating with that's kind of feeding that aspect. So,
I think to the point you were making, because it's such an open world, right? Which has its pros and cons. Like I'm all about creativity, and I think that there's creativity in everybody. So yes, you should express yourself, but there is a difference in my mind between the people that are true to a particular art form, want to do it well, do the cycle of 3, like you're saying, want to have integrity, and people that just want attention, and there's always gonna be that. And I think sometimes you can tell the difference, right? Because they may not want to invest the time into their craft or their art, but they just want attention, So there is a lot of that, and you just have to figure out how to wade through it. It's hard though.
I find a lot, particularly people who are theater, that have a heart for theater or a heart for just acting in general, when they want to do music stuff, that's kind of the vibe that I get from them. It's like, your focus is not on making music. It's on getting attention in another way. And, there is some room for that because some people just have a heart of an entertainer.
Of expression.
They want to be on the stage and they want the spotlight on them and they want to, share themselves in some kind of creative way. So, I feel like there's a healthy area of that, but I feel like there's also I don't care about this discipline. I just want attention and money.
Yeah, it can tip into the
You know what I mean? And so for me, when I'm kind of listening to, bands that are fronted by just some famous actor or whatever, I'm like, come on, bro. Like, there's real people that are waiting to get on stage right now. Like, you got enough money to pay everybody. But I feel like that's crummy of me because they live in their life. But
you have
also
to,
like barf.
We can't
Am
be
I the worst? I'm the worst.
He's the worst. We can't be in comparison mode. And I mean, look, I'm saying this out loud because I have to say it to myself every day of why are you an artist? Why do you do this? And is it because of fame and money? And I'll admit early on,
fame and that money.
This is why I love it. I'll admit early on, you're very driven by those things, but I had to go deeper to say, well, why am I driven by those things? And there's a desire that you have to express and emote and create that you want to do a lot of, right? So it's just, I had to analyze myself that the balance between doing the things that I want to express and do more of, and then having to do other things in your adult life because you're a responsible adult is a tough balance. That's the harder part. But the drive is not really the fame and the money. It's because you.
Not for some people. It is for some people.
Doing it. Well, that's what I'm saying. I want people to interrogate that why for themselves. You know what I mean?
I respect that.
Yeah.
That's that's a good place to cut. We're gonna continue with that. The heart of a creator and the like. We're gonna cut for a second. I'm trying to keep these episodes to 30 minutes. Yo, y'all let me know if you feel like that's unnecessary. If you'll watch a 3-hour interview, right? Then I'll leave it alone. It sure would save me some time.
3-hour interview.
But, everybody that I've spoken to in this arena, they say that 30-minute
Right,
segments
yeah.
because that's usually somebody's commute or something
Right.
like that. And you know what I mean? They'll kind of check it out. Maybe you shouldn't be watching it while you're driving though, but still,
Yeah.
the chunks, they're supposed to be a thing.
listen.
So that's why I'm trying to keep it at 30. But I'd be cool to just keep going because I got to interrupt people. Okay, that's a good point. So stop. So anyways.
But no, yeah, because people can't really comprehend. Like
No.
after 30 minutes, they start turning off anyway.
I think that's a
Yeah, but I don't.
No?
That's what I was saying before. Like I engage with long form content. I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan's podcast, for example. It'd be 3.5 hours. Now I don't watch it all in one sitting.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And you also want to leave people wanting more.
Right,
So-
right.
So we're gonna go so I can leave you wanting more. Gumbolaya podcast here with Dave Stevens, the producer of Scales, coming out October 27th.
27th.
I was close.
He
I was
never
close.
remembers
I
the
had the
release
syllables, right? I'm syllabically close. Dave Stevens, musician, songwriter, music businesser, actor, comedian, father, husband,
Ooh, exhausted.
everythinger,
Eddie
black
tired.
shirt and chain wearer, Philadelphian, and of course, my beloved babe, Kelley Nicole Purcell. I'm C.A. Purcell, Gumbolaya Podcast. Come back in a little while. Part 3 coming up.
If you make me do, turn my heart toward you. So I say thank you. Oh, thank you, God.
Praise and production.